Welcome to Spectrum Perspectives, real talk with parents, professionals, and autism advocates. With your host, Cindy Gellermini.
Hi, everybody. This is Cindy, and welcome to another episode of Spectrum Perspectives. Today, you'll be hearing part 2 of an interview that we've already begun. So if you missed part 1, you may want to go back and listen to the first half of the interview before you hear today's interview, or not. You can always just stay today and enjoy and go back later. So hang out with us and enjoy the interview.
Okay, moving forward.
And so why didn't you take him out and bring him home?
Because first of all, my husband and I couldn't manage him at home. He would fly out the door. He was a big boy. But at this time, he was 23, 24, big boy.
Mm-hmm.
He was big. I mean, look at the size of him.
Yeah.
And I came up to his shoulder. That's why I didn't take. That's why many families, because I advocate. I'm a known advocate in New Jersey, helping families get through a broken system to navigate them through. And my phone is nonstop ringing. And this is my passion of what I do. And I've done it for 12 years, you know, because we wrote, Aileen, Tom, and I wrote the Stephen Camino's law. And now the Billy Cray's law. But getting back to what happened to him when I got him removed out of Woodbine Developmental Center, because at Woodbine Developmental Center, they, oh my gosh, they would, well, he did get sexually assaulted by another client, and another time, and this was more of the nighttime staff, and there's managers in these developmental centers in the front, but at night they go home. He was tied up in a straitjacket, and they beat the crap out of his. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to use crap.
That's okay.
Beat the daylights out of his face like a prize fighter got to him. That's when I called my lawyer, Herb Henkel, and I said, we need to get him out of here. And then he said, you know, he was not supposed to stay in there. It was a waiver for him to just stay there. And then, so Devereaux came to see him, and I'm like, gosh, you think that this is like the most wonderful place for my son. And in the beginning, it worked out well. And then like once the honeymoon stage is over, things happen. Devereaux, he was coming home with, like I said, these bruises. And those two staff would try to report it. And one, Jessica Gustafson, she actually witnessed the staff in the daytime program suffocating my son's face in the pillow and of the couch in the day program. And when they were caught, he says, well, that was Billy's doing. And she had take all this together because she knew she couldn't report it to the state yet. And eventually she left because she needed to advocate for these guys. And she eventually moved out of, ended her employment with Devereaux. She left for another job.
So when she reported it, did she report it to her boss at Devereaux or to DDD or to who?
To Devereaux, but she was, I believe, refrained from reporting it to the state because she said she waited till once Billy died, she was freely able to report it to the state of New Jersey. And that's when she went.
And well, she wasn't employed by them anymore anyway. But I want to know, what was Devereaux saying to her? Like if she reported it, like, so she reported it to Devereaux and then they told her, don't report it to the state?
She told me, Jessica told me that they frowned upon staff reporting abuse. And I even sent these pictures to the executive director of Devereaux with all my notes and documentation. And I even said months before Billy died, I fear for the life of my son.
Right.
No follow-up whatsoever. And matters got worse and worse. You know, my son was in and out of the hospital because they were checking for seizures, and he doesn't have seizures. But the doctor that discharged him said, here's his blood work. He's got excellent blood work.
Mhm.
And I just wanted to know his Depakote. They had concerns because they had a very, very, very high level of Depakote. That was a concern. And then all of a sudden he was discharged. And
You think they were over medicating him?
I believe that they were.
Okay.
I believe that they were. Yeah.
Mhm. Did you get him
And
out of
then
Devereaux?
Devereaux sent him into crisis again. And then he was in Elizabeth. There is Trinitas Hospital, which ironically is right 10 minutes from my house where I used to live up in Roselle Park.
Mhm.
The director of the floor there, he's the social worker who runs the floor for the developmentally disabled. He
Mhm.
says, "You got to be kidding me." He's back again. And he said, if these staff and management and all these places do the right thing, I wouldn't be having them, because they constantly, it's like a revolving door. And this goes for many, many of the families that I help during the course. Same
Yes.
story, different client.
I know, because they sent Robbie to Trinitas.
Oh yeah. And it was
He-
to me, I thought it was a very good hospital.
Mhm.
I had a very good rapport with the social worker.
Yeah.
He says, nothing's going to change
Mhm.
until, I know that you mentioned training. I don't believe this is all about training. And I'll tell you why. Yes, training's important. They need to be trained, medicationally trained,
Mhm.
because the staff do not understand the side effects of medication.
Mhm.
They really need to be certified and trained heavily. And the ones that do well in these courses, which I think should be done in junior colleges, Union County, county colleges.
Mhm.
But you also have mean-spirited staff. And I can't say that strongly enough, because I caught them making fun. While I was in the group home, I watched them making fun of another person served while he was sitting on the couch, and it was antagonizing him. And he was about ready to go off. So I take no nonsense here. I looked at the staff in the kitchen and I went like that. And then she didn't know I was looking.
Mhm.
So this is why, which we're going to be talking about, surveillance in group homes.
Yeah, so let's talk about that now. Let's talk about Billy Cray's law.
Well, before the law, I
Mhm.
want to talk to you about the day that my son was found dead. My son was found dead on the floor on August 27th, 2017. My husband and I answered the door after 2 police officers knocked. They were the Roselle Park Police Department, and informed me of my son's death. And I said, "No, this can't possibly be." And I says, "No, your son, William Earl Cray, is deceased." He handed me a card from the Summers Point Police Department. Here's the detective to call. According to Jessica Gustafson, because she was called at 6 o'clock in the morning, and I was told the state of New Jersey was at my son's group home. DHS was at my son's group home in his bedroom with all the team members, the management team, whoever, certain management members and staff, all in my son's room, because he was found dead, face down, on a bloody pillow on the floor of his carpet, of his closet. And I was not even, they're supposed to call when there's an injury.
Yeah.
Based on the Stephen Camino's law. But they didn't even call to report my death to me. I did not receive a call from Devereaux's management, and I was not even contacted by the commissioner and the commissioner assistant of DDD to tell me my boy is dead. And my son's life did not matter. And what they did was while I thought my son was alive, without my permission, they transported my son's body to Woodbine Developmental Center and did the autopsy in there, in a medical room, or if you will, not examining room. I don't know what it was. I wasn't there, but it was done in the medical building. at Woodbine. They already had started that. I had no choice in the matter in getting my own medical examiner. And this is what I urge families, have it written in their IHPs. Should there be a death, they should be notified immediately. And the family guardian, the legal and parent guardian should get involved with getting getting a doctor in a hospital to have an autopsy performed. So that's where all this began. And when the staff, that was my son's favorite staff, came on shift to learn that Billy died, the staff started breaking down in tears because he was very worried about the staff that was coming in on that weekend. And the management wouldn't let him be with Billy as his one-on-one. And the staff that were leaving their shift said, they were shaking their heads and they said, "Oh my God, you should have seen the blood coming out of his eyes," as they were putting him on the gurney. And it just changed management in that group home so many times. There was a staff that put a restraining, coerced another client in that group home, coerced this other client to go to the police department. This is during the time he was aggressing 2 or 3 months before, to put a restraining order on him so he couldn't come out of Ancora Hospital. And I brought this to the upper management. And they said, well, there's nothing that I could do. Well, he was the operations manager at the time. So I had to hire a lawyer to bring it to court, because if we all had to go to court, then at that point, the charges were dropped. This is not supposed, and it's not supposed to be done. That's not proper practice, in my opinion, for staff to do that.
What charges were dropped?
Oh, no, I'm sorry. The restraint was dropped. There was no charges. The restraint on my son, that this staff coerced another person served in the group home, took him to the police station and said, "Look, Billy Cray's going to be coming home from an Ancora, and you don't want your property destroyed anymore, and you don't want to get hurt." He was a higher functioning client.
Right.
And
got him to file the restraining order at the police department so that Billy couldn't come back to the home. Okay.
Yes, I hired a lawyer to represent me and my son, and it was settled in court, and
he was able to come back.
Judge got the other person on the phone, and they moved the client. It was a result of me getting a lawyer. The client that was in my son's group home, they moved him to another home.
Okay.
In New Jersey, closer to his mother.
Right. Okay. All right. But listen, let's get back to the day that Billy died. So what time of day did this happen? So what, did they find him in the morning and it was the overnight staff that was with him?
In the morning, but all I know is he was found in the morning, and I later found out that everybody was in his room at 6 o'clock in the morning, according to Jessica.
So it was overnight staff that was with him when
Yes,
he died.
but I can't discuss anything about this.
No, I know, but I just know that I'm just saying it was overnight staff that was with him during that time. And then they found him in the morning. And so when you're saying the staff was coming in, that was the day shift that was coming in, and the night shift was leaving.
Yes.
Okay. So when they did the autopsy, what did they find? Why was there blood coming out of his eyes?
They said he died of natural causes.
What?
And something heart related, but
and that's why a heart condition can make blood come out of your eyes.
Yeah,
that's what okay. And so you're saying that the autopsy, you had no say in who did the autopsy, and it was the group home that had it done. And so
it was the facility that had it done, but it was done by a medical examiner who's a doctor who was employed at Woodbine Developmental Center. Now,
isn't that convenient?
I believe, isn't it? I believe that autopsy should be done and performed in the hospital,
Okay. And so was there an investigation done? No, because of the autopsy?
I can't comment on
natural
that.
causes?
I cannot comment on that.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, all right. So then how do we get to the point where you're pushing now for legislation? Because what you would like now is video cameras in the room, because then you could have gone back to see what exactly happened, right? And because I read it somewhere that you don't know what happened because you don't, if
There was no, we don't know, I don't know truly what happened to my son that day because there was no camera in there.
Right.
And this happens to many, many other loved ones with their loved ones who are abused in group homes. And prior to my son's death at Devereaux, there was another death of a client 2 months prior to my son's death, but I can't comment on that either.
Oh.
So yes, my husband and I knew that we had to do something because he said to me before my husband died, my husband was very sick in the hospital. In fact, this was the last time Stu saw my Billy alive. My husband and I sat and said, he said to me, Mart, I want you to keep on advocating as you do, because you are relentless and stop at nothing to getting bills passed. And New Jersey, we need a bill passed, a surveillance bill passed in the memory of our son. And I said, you know that will happen. I will do that. And he said, you need to continue your work and advocating. And I said, Stu, I will do that till the last day of my breath. What I do now is families, when they reach out to me, when they reach out to Eileen Rivera and myself, we help the families navigate through this very broken system. Many cannot afford an attorney, but with all the experience I have had over the last several years, we know how to, Eileen and I know how to navigate through the system and get the families help that they need. And in all actuality, many of the families are choosing to pull their son or daughters, the adults, out of group homes and choose self-direct, where they get the services in a home funded by Medicaid and I believe the Easter Seals. And there's no group home, it's just that home is specifically for their loved one, and they get services brought in.
Into the home where the parents live,
right? They have and basically the family and guardian, basically they oversee the group home, they run the group home, and it's also with the state regulations still remain the same. The difference in their child is phenomenal. Their language gets better. They're not as stressed out. They're not as anxious. They smile. They run and jump outside. That's what we're coming to, is where people are pulling their loved ones out of group homes into safe haven. And that's a shame, isn't it? It's not only about staff training. Staff know exactly what to do. And they're supposed to be getting this in the Boggs Learning Center. And like I told you, they go in there, they sign in that they're there, play with their phones. This is what I'm told. And they need to pass a test and be certified in order to be qualified to work with this most vulnerable population. Division of Developmental Disabilities needs better oversight, because when the families need them, they're saying this staff is doing this and this staff is doing that. And I have mildew in my son's and feces in my son's bathroom. This is neglect, mildewed food and everything else. And the state should be right on that. And these homes are licensed, where they have the state come in and walk through the house for an inspection. And of course, 3 days before the inspection, there's a big master cleanup in the house. Pictures are put up, flowers are put out, and they have all the clients all dressed up like a shiny penny and cleaned. Then to me, it's, in my opinion, it's a dog and pony show. And the state needs to hold these facilities accountable. And apparently, in my opinion, they are not.
Right. Okay. So one of the answers would be to have video cameras put in the facility, and this way you could
Yes,
see what's going on.
yes.
I had said, my daughter, she put her son into daycare down in North Carolina, and there's video cameras at the daycare, and she goes to work and she can watch it on her phone on an app. She can see exactly what's going on, because parents are concerned for their little toddlers that can't speak, that are vulnerable, and they want to make sure nobody's abusing their children. I
Right.
don't see that there's any difference here, any difference. And I don't see why it should be an issue. But I was told when I requested cameras in my son's room, only in his room, because I wanted to make sure he wasn't having a seizure in his sleep, I was told it's an invasion of his privacy by DDD. They said, absolutely not. So we need to get past that DDD barrier, and the state needs to, get over
yes. And that's my goal.
it.
And Eileen Rivera. And also too, the Billy Cray's law, or we call it law because that's how much we wanted to, it's actually a bill. Bill number in the assembly is A2483. Primary sponsor is Assemblyman Krista Phillips. And in the Senate, it's S1897. And this bill is called the choice of surveillance. If somebody doesn't want to have a surveillance in their room, they don't have to.
Right.
And it's all explained. The former primary sponsor in the last session must have explained this over and over again at the end of the assembly hearing.
Right.
That it's a choice.
Sure.
And it's not being forced upon you.
Right.
And basically it will help train the staff who are coming in, and it'll be used as a teaching, purposes of teaching and training. It'll also protect the staff from being wrongfully accused of a client doing something to a staff.
Right.
Because if it's not on the camera, then it didn't happen. This needs to be passed into law.
True. I'll tell you another story that when Robbie was in one of the homes he was in, one of the other members had gotten hurt and gone to the hospital, and his family members blamed my son, Robbie, for hurting him. But Robbie wasn't there. I had signed him out and taken him out for the entire day. Robbie wasn't even there that day. Okay. So that would have protected Robbie, right? If there was cameras that the family could have seen, Robbie didn't hurt your child. He tripped and fell or whatever, So I know staff won't like being videotaped, but I think I associate it with, like, when you're driving down the road and you see the blinking sign that tells you you're speeding, you're over the speed limit. You immediately hit the brakes and slow down, because you're being watched. So I think it will keep them on their good behavior.
That's a good point that you brought up about Robbie, Cindy. And during the course of the time when we were trying to get this bill passed last session, 2020, 2021, there was many of the self-advocates that came, and actually Assemblywoman Downey did point this out, and she was really not happy about it. They were believed to be coerced to advocate against the bill. You see, when they're in their own apartments, there's no need for a camera. They don't have to have it. They were seen on camera being fed what to say by was believed to be staff people in that area where they were sitting in. And it's basically the opposers of the bill are ABCD, which is they advocate, in my opinion, for the providers, and the Association of Community Providers that are adamant, and they will fight tooth and nail. And they brought out their reasons why they're opposed to it. And I don't have it with me, but there will be more information on that. Assemblywoman Downey was taken back by their reasons. I'm told this. So this is my mission, and the families. We have so many families that want to help to see this bill pass. So
well, every parent fears what's going to happen to their child when they're not here anymore. Who's going to take care of him? They all think, well, maybe I'll put him in the group home, but then they all fear them being abused in the group home. right?
Yeah.
So I think this would be a good solution.
I know what the depth of that fear is.
Yep.
Waiting for that phone to ring, waiting for that shoe to drop. And I lost so many nights awake, fretting, documenting, and when you call the group home, and in my experience, if you don't dial *67, they'll screen the calls. And one time I couldn't get through in another program to get through to my son's group home. Actually, no, it was in Devereaux. And I actually called the police to send a well check out. The staff called me. Oh, we were home. But in my opinion, he sounded as if he were just waking up. These are what thousands and thousands of families go through. They don't get any support, I'm told, from the division. It seems like, and this is what we believe, that there's like a marriage between the Division of Developmental Disabilities,
right,
and the providers, because the DDD needs to have, I guess, a good relationship with these providers, because they need beds to put them in. So the families, what they end up doing is their own investigation. And also, too, we're refrained from calling the police should there be a, if you go and find an injury and an allegation was made. To those outside of these group home facilities, citizens, regular citizens, have the right to call the police and file charges. The developmentally disabled, in my opinion, and adults, they don't have the same rights as everyone else. We hear all about every time you pick up the newspaper or see on the news, rights and equality. You know what? I'm for equality, but the developmentally disabled are not on that list. And that really burns me up. And we've gone to many, many legislatures. And I said, why can't the developmentally disabled be on the list of equality? They should be treated like everyone else. They are not less. So,
all right. So listen, we've been on for a long time. We need to wrap it up. I just wanted to mention also that I know one of the Assembly women that is also going to be helping push for this bill, Michelle Matsukutis. I'm going to try to get her on and get an interview with her next, so she can give us more info about how the government works and how we can get, you get bills like this pushed through and things like that. So I'm glad that you gave out the number of the bill, because I can tell you all you need to do is, if you live in New Jersey, is to find out who your assembly person is in your district, right? And all you have to do is send an email saying, I support this bill, right? It can be very simple. It doesn't have to be long-winded. And they can go on to, I think it's njlegislature.com. I think it's the website, right? And they can look up who your assembly person is in your district, right? You mentioned Union County, right? A lot of Union County is District 21. You can go find out who your assembly person is, send them a quick email, and then it gets recorded and it goes to the assembly person, and they know, okay, I have people in my district that would like me to support this bill. And so if you feel that this is something that you would like to see pushed through, quick email.
Yes.
And make sure in that email that you tell them what town you live in, because they need to know what district you're from.
Oh, yeah.
So it's a simple email. I'm so-and-so. I live at blah, 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 Main Street in Cranford or wherever it is. I'm one of your constituents.
If you don't mind, I'd like to make a point.
Sure.
Speaking about that, Eileen Rivera and I have sent out emails in regards to my son's story to roughly 175 legislatures in the Assembly and in the Senate, asking for co-sponsorship of the bill. And we've gotten answers back by many that will. But they'd like to wait till the hearing. And that is another issue. We need to get both bills posted in the committees of the Assembly Human Services Committee and the Senate Health Human Senior Services Committee. And that has to be done by contacting Senator Vitale, Assemblyman Copeland, the Speaker, and the Senate President, Senator Scutari. It's imperative that
you're right.
we get this bill. That's mainly our main importance right now, rather than get co-sponsors.
Okay, terrific. All right, and just say the numbers of the bill one more time. For assembly, it's A what?
Assembly bill is A 2483.
Okay, and Senate is
and
S?
The Senate, it's S 1897.
Okay, and then and you could also, I think, when you're on that njlegislature.com, I think you can even type in the bill that you're looking for. It might say, it might be, it might not, I don't know if it says Billy Cray, but it might say video cameras and, something, you could find it.
No, the bill says Billy Cray.
It does it on that website?
Yes.
Okay, there you go.
On what, wait, well, I'm sorry, what website?
On the website, on the NJ Legislature.
On the bill itself.
No, I mean, on the website, but sometimes if you don't know the number, you can just type in a keyword of what you're looking for. And and I think if you put in video cameras, you'll see that. And Emma's Law is another one that's coming up. We won't even talk about that. I already interviewed her. But those are two laws. If you support, write them, or if you oppose, you can,
what is the number on Emma's Law?
I don't know. I don't know off the top of my head.
And may I ask, because you brought it up, is this in regards to adults?
That's video cameras in the bus.
Very good. Okay, I will support that. I will support that.
Yeah, because her autistic daughter lives in Cranford. She goes to school down in Neptune, and the bus got lost and was gone for 5 hours.
I think I know who you mean.
Yeah, and she and the police found them down in Camden. And they said they got lost. So,
I would be willing, Cindy.
So they want GPS and video cameras on the bus.
I'll be there to support that bill as well.
Sure.
And I will come to any hearings or make any statements.
Okay, terrific. All right. Okay, Martha, thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate it. Okay, bye-bye.
Have a wonderful day.
Okay, you too.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
That's it for today's episode. I hope you enjoyed listening and it helped you gain a new perspective. If you're interested in buying our book series, Robbie's World and His Spectrum of Adventures, the link will be in our episode description, as well as my Instagram and Facebook pages. If you enjoyed the show and you'd like more content, please be sure to hit that like button, follow us, and don't forget to leave us a great review. Thank you for joining us. Be sure to join us again on our next episode of Spectrum Perspectives.
Thank you for joining us today. Be sure to join us again on our next episode of Spectrum Perspectives.